Hey, what's going on? It's me Mex, and I hope you're doing good, and today I will review Hajime no Ippo's latest chapter, which is 1404, so let's get into it. So basically, last chapter it ended with Wally getting knocked down in the match, so it's only fitting that this chapter would start with him getting back up. And it's cool to see the crowd getting riled up since they started cheering for Ricardo, which I'm sure it's a great way to answer Ricardo's existential question if he really does cool down the crowd. And I really liked seeing Wally come back from the dead, since for a second it really did look like he was not going to get back up. And now that Ricardo is in the zone, he's obviously going to push forward against Wally, but I really did like the small dialogue that was in this chapter after Wally got back up. Basically, Sendo said that Wally has guts for getting back up, however, Vorg said that it takes more than guts and bravery to defeat Ricardo. I also just wanted to point out how we don't see Miguel or Dankichi at all in this chapter, which I think is kind of weird because I at least would have expected some reaction to Wally getting back up, or anything else Wally did in this chapter. And Ricardo ends up pressuring Wally into the back of the corner and he ends up cutting all of Wally's escape routes. And Wally attempts to escape by using his quote-unquote special corner work. The thing is, when Wally was introduced to the story, he was stated to be more dangerous when pushed against the corner. But judging by how Ricardo basically moved Wally into getting hit by a jab shows that this statement is not true at the world level. And honestly, seeing Wally get hit hurts my soul. But Ricardo Martinez ends up saying some interesting stuff about how Wally's easy to catch because his eyes and instincts are too good for their own good. And the way I see this line is that Ricardo Martinez has basically adapted to Wally's wildness. Sendo basically ends up yelling at Wally and he tells him that he needs to not just use his feet but to also fight back to push his way out of the corner. And Wally ends up doing that by using a move that looks very reminiscent of Hayami's shotgun. And if you saw my last video, you would know all about Hayami and his tragic career. But this chapter ends with Ricardo Martinez guarding against Wally's barrage of punches. But I'd say it was a pretty good chapter, so let's move on to the predictions for chapter 1405. But before that, I got my last prediction wrong, so we're currently 7-7. But basically, I'm going to reuse the prediction I said for last chapter review and say that the round will end in this next chapter and we'll hear what Miguel has to say to Wally. But before the video ends, I just wanted to thank everyone for 393 subscribers and for the support on my last video. Honestly, it makes me so happy to see the amount of growth we get during each chapter review. And if you had any thoughts on this chapter or on this video, I would like to hear them in the comments down below. And on that note, this is Mex signing off. It's been real.